I'm very well. Thank you for asking. Welcome to Happy Hour, but a special happy hour because it's not just whiteoids today. It's two thirds honky. Anyway, yes, but you just heard a laugh there. It's Eiynah, is our special guest. Hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good, awesome. And joining me as always, it's the honky of academia. I don't know.
I was gonna say
Cracademia. Come on now.
Cracademia. There you go. That's
It's
actually
Dr.
pretty
Kristi
good.
Winters.
Hey, Kevin. I was gonna self-refer. What was it? Angloid? Is that the term that
Something like that, yeah. The
yes,
Anglo
and
box, yeah.
yes, all of that. But yes, how are you doing, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah. Oh,
That's it.
I
I've got
think
nothing else. You just think this is
Stop it.
professional communication?
Get some
Don't
help.
be silly. I'm
I think
alright, yeah.
are you gonna resize this so yours show up on the screen? Because right now, mostly what I see is my phone sound
Well,
lightning
that's
or
you,
lighting.
yeah. If I speak, like, there's me in the corner. There's me in the spotlight, losing my religion.
Oh, okay, because you're covered up by the chat
That's
right now,
perfect.
at least in my window.
Yeah,
So I
but no,
think you
who
need.
cares? I'm just in there, there. Shut up.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, I'm a lovely person, really. Anyway, hello, Eiynah. For those who don't know, you're a returning guest, friend of the show. But for any idiots who aren't regular listeners to your podcast, tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm an atheist. I'm an ex-Muslim. I grew up in Saudi Arabia. I'm a podcaster and an illustrator, and I've written a couple of children's books.
Awesome.
And completely non-controversial, and nobody ever dislikes me.
No, well, that's true. Yeah,
Mm.
indeed. So,
And of course, ass kicker of Sam Harris. You
That's
left
right.
that out of your list of accomplishments, but it is down. It's not that important in life overall, but it is on there.
It is on there.
Yeah.
cool. So, this is a sort of addendum or possibly even riposte, I don't know, to the show that Kristi and I did last week with Thomas Smith about the article, which I'll put on screen for everyone else, which we talked about at the time. The Salon article, Godless Grifters, how the new atheists merged with the far right. And you had a rather different take on it than other people had.
Well, Kevin, you make it sound like I had one take and then everybody else
No,
had
no,
the
no.
same.
I didn't mean. I didn't mean to imply that at all. I just meant you had a different take than some other whiteoids had.
That's right. That's right. I did have a different take. I do have a different perspective, I suppose. I have grown up in a theocracy. I have seen kinds of racism that you probably, things that are so blatant that happen in Saudi Arabia that, are more taboo over here. So, but then you see that in the post-Trump era, like I've really had to rethink about racism in the West, because before my perspective used to be, wow, things are a lot better than what I saw in Saudi. Like the racism there is so blatant that if you're a Saudi or if you're a brown expat there versus a white expat over there, you can't be an immigrant because they don't accept immigrants. So there's very different like statuses of existing in Saudi Arabia, and you actually get paid, or you used to when I used to live there. You used to get paid according to what passport you had. So you could be somebody's boss qualification wise, but if you have a Pakistani passport, you make less than them if they're American.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
fucked up. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, Kristi, you're way louder than everyone else. So can you like move away from the mic or something?
Yep. I saw that, and I have,
Good.
and I'm whispering. I'm literally whispering.
I'm literally whispering. Anyway, yes. Yeah. So you thought that a number of other people, and we're going to try and avoid drama as much as is possible, but names have been named, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, they already have, Kevin. We're here to talk about something pretty specific, which
Okay,
will
okay,
involve talking about some stuff. So,
okay, so well, what is it you wanted to say then? I suppose.
I wanted to say, Kevin, fuck off. No.
Fits right in, this lady.
Yeah.
And that's all I came here to say.
Oh, I mean, if that were true, that would be the best thing ever.
That would be
I know
great,
it's not true, but that would be...
I couldn't even be angry. I'd just be like, no, fair play. Yeah. No, I respect that.
No. So, okay, so I wanted to talk about this article, right? And
Right.
it came out and it went pretty viral and it resonated with a lot of people. And what I did not expect was for some people who I thought understood where this whole new atheism scene was going or had gone to stand up in defense of it. And to me, that was pretty horrifying. It was pretty hurtful to see, especially coming from, the left. I thought it was actually, it felt very threatening to be reopening this conversation, which I thought on the left was pretty settled. Like I could not have predicted that this would be a controversial statement at all on the left, among left-leaning atheists. New atheism has merged with the far right, let alone that people would put out entire podcasts trying to disprove that statement. So it's been a pretty eye-opening and disappointing time for me. Yeah. So if you want to ask me anything, otherwise I can just keep going.
I think Kristi certainly had some thoughts on this, didn't you?
Well, I've been thinking. All right, so as I said at the beginning of the last show, and I'll do a shorter version because I think I rambled a bit last time, but because my mental health was very bad, I saw that this was being discussed.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have the emotional energy to give to it at the time. So when I felt more stable, I went back. But what I did was I kind of went back and I listened to Thomas's podcast. I listened to your podcast. I listened to Eli's podcast. I've subsequently, we talked with Thomas, and I listened to the first part of your panel because this show was arranged sort of last minute. And so as a consequence, and so I'm very divorced from a big part of this conversation because that's not what I kind of dealt with. So I'm going to just announce that I have that, shall we say, blind spot. Like, I just don't know. Like, I've heard people say things, but I don't think my opinion here is going to help things. So anyway, I want to focus on what I think it is. And so my journey was, like, when I listened to Thomas, I did understand where he was coming from. And then I listened to your podcast and I realized I understood where you were coming from. And so, and again, I don't want to get too much down like a self-road here, but I do think it's important because I think we talked about this actually in DMs, that I had a bit of a light bulb moment when it came to this. Like, I probably, because I didn't identify, I probably identified as a new atheist before I realized how shitty they were.
Yeah.
And then I went, no, I don't want to associate with this anymore. This isn't what I stand for. I'm with Atheism Plus if I'm going to stand with people. And that's, but my light bulb moment was more about privilege and discussing these topics. And what I heard from your podcast was basically like, and I'm going to talk about just wider community now because I think a lot of people have added their voices to this conversation using very diplomatic terms. But that I see parallels between how I, as a white person, used to react to criticisms of white culture, even though we didn't call it white culture or white society. And this sort of reaction, and I'm talking about, like, I can see parallels in maybe a little bit of how I approach the subject. I'm not going to judge anybody else. I want to talk only about my own stuff. But realizing, just like I had to let go of sensitivity of the criticism of whiteness, that it was absolutely fine to let go of criticism of new atheism and to just kind of let the name go, just let it go and let it be criticized, right? So I totally get that. And I think especially when it comes from people who have been marginalized, people like yourself, who have been actually targeted by people in that movement, you know, what struck me more than anything in your podcast was less about what you were saying and just how tired you sounded. And I just felt that so deeply, that you were speaking from a place of utter exhaustion. And it was my job, if I really wanted to be an ally, was to listen to you and hear you. And not just like be able to repeat back, but actually empathize where you're coming from. And so with that said, you know, there might be a time and a place. Like I know your discussions and other discussions that have been had, we've all debated the definition of merge, new atheism as a collective versus, you know, like individuals, alt-right versus far right. And, you know, when you're having political science and sociological discussions, those things are warranted because you need some precision in your language, which you appreciate. But I think also when we hear allies saying, why are you doing this? You know, that it's the same thing like saying to a white person on Twitter, please don't say hashtag not all white people. Please don't say that. I mean, you know, we get it. There are good white people, but
Kristi,
that doesn't,
This has been all hashtag not all new atheists. It's very similar.
So that's where I see parallels in myself and my own realizations. Again, I'm not, you know, I want to talk about me and my criticisms and my feelings. And that was that was the light bulb moment for me on this issue. And hopefully, I know,
Kristi, we have a guest.
I know, but I think this is actually because I want Eiynah to know that I heard her.
No, I appreciate that.
Well, we're not fucking hearing her right now, are we? Jesus. Anyway, did you have was there a question or a point to that, to Kristi?
Well, it was, I guess, a springboard, and basically, like, is that what you were hoping for? For like people like me who are in my little bubble and thinking about it abstractly to hear what was being said.
Kristi, I have to say my expectations are so low now, especially after being shocked by some things among progressives and people on the left, that, you know, that's honestly more than I was hoping for. So thank you. I appreciate that. I feel heard and seen and acknowledged, and that feels good.
I just want to hug you.
A horrible couple of weeks.
Yeah, and if we could, I gave a thing to Kevin to show a little clip from a discussion on anti-racism. And it, you know, and people talk about, like, you know, white people need to educate yourself because black people are tired and they don't have time to talk about anti-blackness and things. So when people do these, you know, actually I have to thank, weirdly, Myth Informed Milwaukee, because they were trying to mock this. And I watched it, and this moment for me was personally the most powerful. I gave Kevin the timestamp, so
for some reason it skipped back right to the very start, so I'll have to.
I think it was like 49:24 or something like that.
Yeah, a second, I'll get the thing up. It's on the Facebook. Apologies, everybody.
Yeah.
49:28. There we go. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I was pretty close. I think I said 24.
Okay.
Definition. So you can go ahead and go ahead. Black women, white women, I'm gonna bring you to the carpet. You all are about to, I have black friends, I have black children, I have black nieces and nephews, or I have a black partner, us to death. Some of the things that white women in particular say to me to try and prove to me that they are not racist or they can't be, just all of these things. Y'all about to kill us about your black friends and your black children and your black partner. As a black woman, I walk through the world as a black woman, and I'm perfectly fine with walking through the world as a black woman. So please don't tell me that you don't see color. It's a part of who I am. It's not a term of endearment. You have dismissed a part of me before we've sat down and had a conversation. So I know that you can see that I'm a black woman and Jessie is not. So it is a part of who I am. Just because you have Black friends, you have Black children or a Black partner does not stop the fact that you as a white person continue to benefit from white supremacy and white invasion. If your Black friends aren't able to come to you and have a gut-wrenching conversation about the state of Black affairs, where we are right now, without you trying to justify it, without you getting defensive, without you playing devil's advocate, please stop playing devil's advocate. It is super condescending for you to play devil's advocate with people of color's real life experiences. So if you are not able to do that, you do not have Black friends, you just know a couple of Black people.
Pause.
Go ahead, Jeff.
That was it. That was it. Don't get defensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can completely understand the frustration there, even though, you know, my background is not the same as hers. I'm a Pakistani background person, and we have a very different history. So I cannot even begin to understand the pain that she feels with what's going on in America right now. And, you know, as a result, I suppose my way of speaking about it is slightly different from hers, but I have not experienced what she has experienced. So I understand that frustration. But yes, that exhaustion and that, you know, like, don't tell me about what a good ally you are unless, like, I can see it in the real world. You know what I mean? The first instance that you are challenged by a woman of color, if you completely fall apart, have multiple meltdowns, turn to just flat out lying and not addressing any of the points, or will address them only if someone else will come and say them to you in a way that is extremely sugar coated and soft and gentle, then I don't see that allyship there. And that's what I mean when I say eye-opening. It's been really something to observe all of this stuff around Merge Gate, and then the playing devil's advocate. You know, these types of pedantic arguments are just like minor little, you know, conceptual things that for some people, but
Yeah, you had a very significant issue with the nitpicking on semantics of the word merge. In the podcast, you put like an echo thing over the word merge every time it was said, which I thought was quite funny. You were particularly annoyed by the sort of, I suppose, what you might conceive as pedantry in the face of bigotry.
right.
Yeah. And you put out actually, I thought it was quite an informative timeline of events on Twitter as well, which I thought was really useful. And you said you'd been noticing this for several months now. This wasn't just like an isolated thing.
Years,
Oh,
Kevin.
years. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in what form had that arisen over years?
Well, it's just kind of how, like, even the left podcasting sphere of atheism or skeptosphere or IDW criticism, whatever that world niche is, has been very much a boys' club, right? And you see that, you know, circle jerk all the time. People praising each other, lifting each other up, a bunch of non-minority white guys that like to debate these types of issues, you know, just constantly praising each other for the most mediocre stuff. But even when they are tagged, or, well, hashtag not all of them, but some of them, you know, I would get emails like, oh yeah, I sent so-and-so a recommendation for your work on Sam Harris. And, or, you know, I would see things on their social media where people would be like bitching me out, and they would completely ignore the part about me, but thank them for their compliments about them. And I'd be like, I would never do that. You know, if I considered you a friend and someone came on my page and started saying, oh, so-and-so is such an idiot, but you're pretty good, I'd be like, oh, well, no, we're friends. Like, I don't agree with that. At least acknowledge. So yeah, there was like this avoidance around my work all the time, I noticed. And yeah, just that lack of engagement, and just the whole bro circle jerk, and the whole, you know, saying that you care about propping up minority voices, but really very few minority voices ever appear on those places.
Yeah, you said you felt that you were treated very differently than sort of white men in the even the progressive sort of spaces.
Absolutely, Kevin. So I could put out an episode very calmly criticizing Sam Harris, backing up every single one of my points with clips and references and whatever. I would be labeled as a hysterical, woman going over the top, or I would be tone policed for my sarcasm, or they would complain that I would, laugh too much or something. Whereas,
Wow.
A white dude putting out something with very little stuff to back up his points could actually rant and be, quivering in the voice and show emotion. But then I would see the comments under that and people would be like, yeah, wow, you're so rational. You're so much more rational than Eiynah is. And or someone would be like, you don't ever present a single argument against Sam Harris. And I'm just in shock. Like, have you heard any of my work? Mm-hmm. I go into such detail to present my arguments. So, things like that cumulatively over time, you start to realize how different the standards are. And even throughout all of this, right? The standards are that I'm the troublemaker and the divisive person for saying that, hey, do not defend things like New Atheism based on pedantic semantic quibbles, because that has serious implications for some of us. Whereas the people who have defended things like this are treated like, oh, so sorry that she was acting in such bad faith and you had to go through so much trauma, and oh my gosh, she did a laugh emoji. Oh my gosh, she's really enjoying your pain. Meanwhile, they can say stuff like complete lies about me, like, oh, they helped me start my podcast, and I'm an abuser, I'm a troll, whereas I am expected to just remain emotionless and address the arguments. I have addressed the arguments. I have tried not to make this personal. But the others making it personal are not held up to that standard.
Yeah, and it did get quite personal, didn't it?
Absolutely.
You've received some, frankly, I think what amounts to abuse from certain people who I had a lot more respect for before this, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's been mind-boggling, really. And then they are talking about the trauma that they have faced from reviving this whole discussion without any sort of self-reflection or thinking about the trauma that maybe minority people might be facing from reopening this discussion about the validity of New Atheism being far right or not based on a single word like merge.
Yeah. Kristi?
Yep. I was going to ask, I know you recently did a panel podcast. Was there anything from that? Because there was a lot in there, but any points in particular that you think, if people were going to go listen to, they'd want to listen out for? Parts of the discussion you enjoyed?
I would just say
not enjoyed, but thought were good.
I really enjoyed that we heard from multiple atheist content creators who talked about their individual experiences with the scene and how they talked about, I mean, it's not nice to hear, it's sad to hear, but they talked about
Kevin, can you mute yourself? I don't know what you're doing, but can you mute yourself? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Eiynah, continue.
How every time they would speak about something progressive, I don't think he muted himself.
Kevin, you didn't Kevin, you didn't. Jesus Christ.
Kevin attacking a suitcase.
What?
You didn't mute yourself at all.
Am I not speaking through the right microphone then? What?
People said in the chat you sounded far away, so maybe you weren't speaking through the right microphone.
Hello? Hang on, I'll try muting myself now.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
What the fuck?
All right, it's okay. You're done with whatever you had to do, right?
Oh no, I'll tell you what I was doing. I was muted for the audience, not for the conversation. Apologies. See
Ah,
what I
okay.
was doing there. Anyway, no, oh yeah, Rory Katz was being a dickhead. I put him on screen.
Okay. So anyway, back to Eiynah.
Forgot what I was saying.
Um,
Oh yeah, the atheist content creator.
Mhm.
So how they talked about how any time that they, or atheist / godless, however they want to identify. Sometimes people don't want to call themselves atheists, and I don't blame them. Really, it has some yucky connotations nowadays.
mhm.
But yeah, so anytime they talked about or had a progressive person on, talked about left-leaning issues, they lost support. They lost Patreon support. They lost subscribers to their channel. This has been my experience as an ex-Muslim, probably heightened even more because specific niche of ex-Muslims is like fetishized specifically to legitimize the right's anti-Muslim bigotry. So in there, I was really not, it was really not working for me, what people wanted from me and expected from me and what I was putting out.
I do want to make comments about the atheist movement more generally, but I don't want to rush to that and not give sufficient time to the issues
Yeah.
you wanted to discuss first.
So
yeah.
One thing I did want to bring up, as much as I love you guys and respect you guys and appreciate your perspectives, and Kristi, I've really been appreciating your Twitter, and you seem to be like very actively diving into some anti-racism stuff lately. But I thought it was interesting that who you chose to hear from first. Because how did this all come about? I believe it was a group tweet that was sent to, I think, directed at Kristi and Kevin.
Yeah.
I was asking her on, and then...
Yeah, no, well, I literally, the first person I wanted to have on was Kristi, who was one of the guests on your show.
Right.
Yeah. And then sort of
but then we all kind
himself.
of agreed. We all kind of agreed on the thread to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
But then.
So I assumed it would be a group conversation, but I assumed that someone did not want to be speaking with me, which is fine.
Well, no, it's because the drama sort of kicked off between you and Thomas that we thought it was probably best not to have you both on the same show. Like, we just thought that would probably be best for both of you.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Look, it would have been great for ratings, but I don't want to like be drama-y amongst generally decent people, you know.
Hey, I can speak civilly when I have to. It doesn't have to be like Jerry Springer.
It doesn't have to be, but it often devolves into that, and that's
but
great.
So I thought it was interesting who you chose to have on first.
Okay.
And it certainly wasn't intentional, I'm sure.
Interesting in what way?
Interesting that that the white guy gets to talk first about his experiences and perspective and sort of whitewash how things went down.
Okay, but I mean, it doesn't. It wasn't intended in that way.
Of course
from
not.
my perspective.
Yeah.
It was just happened to work out that way. Look, I don't particularly care who gets to speak first or last on a thing. And I'm sorry if you felt slighted by that, but that wasn't our intent. Or my intent. It's nothing to do with Kristi in terms of the arranging of the thing, so that's not on her at all. It's me on that one. But I didn't intend to like offend you.
No,
so
I know you didn't.
Yeah.
It just works out like that often in situations more than this one.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
And he did kind of invite himself on anyway. Because to be honest with you, I wasn't, and that's not even a criticism of him necessarily. But I just wanted to talk to Kristi because I thought, well, she's got an interesting take on shit, and I didn't think
Kristi or Kristi.
Kristi, that is. Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Along with Kristi, because this is like a show we do together, so
Right,
Kristi would have been as well.
Right.
We thought you were too big for us.
Yeah, exactly.
That was it.
I thought you and Thomas probably wouldn't want to bother, but Well, Christiosity, you know, I
Knows
she'll,
us.
No, but I
she'll
said
talk
I
about
would
any old
happily
shit. So.
come on on the thread. I was
Yeah.
happy to come on, but
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was a bit. Well, I guess you didn't maybe have all the full context, but I thought it was very whitewashed. Yeah, I thought it wasn't an accurate representation of what happened. So
Okay,
that
so
kind
do you
of
want to
sucked.
give us your interpretation then?
Well, yeah, I am. I'm in
Okay.
the middle of it.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah. So
So, yeah. So, would you have preferred to have come on first then?
I mean, I don't think it would make such a huge. Well, who knows? Maybe. I don't know. I just think that it often is that people always want to hear from the white guys first,
Yeah.
and so it just sucked that it worked out that way, even though it may not have been intentional. But I just think it's just wild how it's been sort of. I found this whole thing to be like a case study in, white guy revisionism, like just an entirely different reality from what so many people have experienced, and multiple people, not just one person. And I think that's been very harmful because it has caused people among the already not so huge left portion of left atheism to feel a need to pick sides, and it sucks that it had to happen at all. And I don't think that minorities are to blame for standing up and saying, like, no, don't have this pedantic debate. Don't put out an entire podcast to quibble with a single word in a title, and don't minimize the harms of new atheism. And I laid my case out point by point with like many major actors and tried to demonstrate how they in fact did merge with the far right. Like, people keep saying this is a clickbaity title. I don't think it's all that inaccurate, or
I have to say, I did learn from the panel. I didn't realize the connections between leaders of white supremacist groups, individually, like being atheists. In that, yeah, I mean, I didn't know that, and I felt ashamed that I didn't. I was like, that's a miss on my part. So.
I mean, this isn't about wanting to make anyone feel ashamed or bad.
But I should know that. I should know that. I've been in this. I've been doing atheism stuff for like earlier than I was doing the stuff I'm doing now. Right? I should know that. But how did I miss that?
Well,
it's
you know how you missed it is because a lot of atheist organizations did not want to talk about it. They did not want people to know that these people are atheists.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned the crying Nazi as an example.
Yeah, Christopher Cantwell, yeah. He was
Richard Spencer.
Yeah. Cantwell's an interesting one because he used to be like just a basic libertarian atheist type guy, and now he's like a weird Nazi atheist guy.
Yeah, like if you think that the word pipeline to the far right is okay, why spend any time at all to put out an episode, edit an episode, and just seem like you're defending new atheism when you think the word merge is gone too far, right? And I've said this on multiple episodes now. It's like merge doesn't mean transforming into, right? It has several meanings: overlapping with, allying with, mixing with, playing footsie with,
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. It can mean that, and they seem to have taken that one interpretation as ironically gospel, I suppose.
But can I get a bit like nerdy now at this point?
Hang on, you weren't being before.
No. Okay. So this is where I get really nerdy. I was just thinking, reflecting in the last day about the fact that perhaps the seeds of new atheism's destruction were sown in the way that it was formed. So we want to talk about old atheism, Talked to sociologists who study this. It was philosophically based.
Mm-hmm.
And this new generation, you want to say, this emergence of new atheism was very much grounded in the natural sciences, right? Because it was taking on creationism. So in some ways it was kind of fit for purpose. But how like a coping mechanism can become pathological? It never kind of like stopped being that. And it not only brought rationalism and science, it brought all the Western chauvinism,
yeah, and
along
scientism.
with it. And scientism. Kevin, you're doing it again.
Doing what again?
You're interrupting women when they're speaking by making a lot of noise in the background.
You're packing your bags or something.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, just mute. Okay, so what was I saying? Chauvinisms, right? And what I talked about how when I became an atheist, I unpacked all the hierarchies, all the unjustified hierarchies and bigotries that went with it, but they didn't. And so those chauvinisms were hardwired into the movement, and until they met the politics, I think most of us didn't, because we grew up in a place that fetishizes, like Western culture. We didn't see it, right? And then it ran into fascism, and then it was like, holy shit, look at the outline. Here's all the places they intersect, and that's why it's fine to just chuck new atheism in the bin, just like whiteness. We're not chucking white people in the bin,
right, exactly.
We're chucking whiteness in the bin.
Yes, and I think that the people defensive about new atheism on the left still do know that, because they do know better. They know that this isn't about atheism as a whole, but somehow that defensiveness and tribalism is making that conflation happen for some people. So there's also that Mott and Bailey happening, right? Where there was one of these defending new atheism episodes was like, oh, you, the listener, are being smeared by this author. And it just had this like creepy preacher kind of tone, you are being smeared, and look at us.
That was Eli Bosnick, wasn't it?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
We are the most progressive demographic, and but that's not accurate, because we're talking about a very specific movement. We're not talking about the average atheist out on the street. That's the demographic being measured. And also that demographic is a conflation, because it's often the nuns, right, which are not all atheists. People use
spiritual but not religious.
Or
is included
people, or just people who don't identify with a religion, but maybe they believe in God, or who knows, they're the nuns. And also how these things might misread people, like, as was pointed out in the panel, like Shermer as being one of the progressives, because he would answer, yes, of course I'm pro-trans rights. Yes, of course I'm, against anti-Muslim bigotry. But when you look at that practically, that's not true. These people like to think they are, so they would answer the polls in that way. But it's not true.
Yeah. And you can point to good people, that's fine, but pointing to good people doesn't deal with the problem.
Exactly. We want to deal with the problem, because this has been a widespread problem for a very long time, and this constant effort to just kind of shrink it to a few bad apples, that is what's that is kind of like that playing devil's advocate clip that you played. It's like, it's exhausting, because we've had this fight with the right. We don't, I'm not shocked or so heartbroken over what the freaking Kekistan atheists are saying or doing, because I've made my peace with that. That is a lot of them. Well, Kekistan is an outdated term, but that was a joke.
Yes.
Well, we like to get pedantic, so let me just clarify.
Well, those of us who are old enough to remember Kekistan.
Yeah. So the fact that this is coming from inside the house, Kristi, that is what has been extremely hurtful, harmful, and felt threatening if you can understand that. And that's why I'm so exhausted, because I've already had these pylons and fights with the right-wing atheists, sometimes with the centrist atheists, and now it's like just opening the floodgates on the left again, and people are not willing to self-examine or just kind of introspect at how this is not really that controversial of a statement. We should not be fighting over this. Instead, we should think and be like, yeah, is this worth our time or not? Is this worth the damage that it's caused? No. And it's the people who open this discussion that should be at fault for it, not the people saying, don't do that.
Yep. And that's why, I know we didn't do a group thing, but I also think it's having this conversation, like more of a one-on-one, is, I think it's helpful, So,
Well,
I'm glad we're doing this.
I was just going to ask Kristi to make this all about me. Did you think I fucked up by having Thomas on first?
Well, I just left the booking with you, so
yeah.
Not the most reliable booker.
No. I guess what I assumed is that because that's where the story kind of starts. Because having Eiynah on first without having I guess we could talk about Thomas's thing, but so for me, I assumed it was chronological. But then again, I didn't know, because I think I had to chase you up because on that.
Well, thank you for thinking that I had some sort of thematic element to this, whereas it was literally just I'll throw it out there and see what happens. I don't know, whatever.
I think what might have happened is, and this might actually be what happened, Eiynah, is that Thomas reached out to me to say, I haven't heard from Kevin in a couple days. Or I haven't heard from Kevin, and then I chased Kevin up. And I think if you would have contacted me sooner, like if you would have been the first person to contact me, and then I think you might have been the first person on
Yeah, it's your fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only joking. No, it's me. I am a fucking shoddy broadcaster. It's on me, this one. Yeah. But I just wanted to get Kristi's take on that anyway. It's alright, yeah.
No, the chronological angle makes sense, certainly, but
that's very post hoc, very.
And I think the larger point is, this is an example of a larger pattern.
Yes.
Right, and that's exactly. Ultimately the point. Yeah.
That's ultimately the point. That's the point I tried to get across in my first episode, where I deliberately did not name anyone so as not to single anyone out. I just wanted to speak about the points. But the response to that just got so out of hand, with multiple meltdowns all over social media, multiple lies and just misrepresentations, that it just had to involve drama for some reason.
Yeah,
and of course I'm probably going to be blamed for it because I'm the hysterical woman. So yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a point that I think bears repeating, the fact that women are put in an unwinnable situation. That you were saying you were criticised for not naming names, and then when you did name names, you were just being like a drama queen type thing. Yeah. Which is it's an impossible,
it is impossible. It is. I knew that going into it, so I had the choice of either shutting up or saying something. And it's the same people who have applauded me for my take no bullshit attitude in terms of Islamists and Islamic conservatives seem to get very upset when I am the same person, just turning my lens more towards the Western right, or more towards maybe a progressive atheist who might have some privileged blind spots, So.
And I think, at least, from my perspective, I don't know how to solve this problem. I know I love everybody that was on your panel, Vadim and Kristi, all the people that I know. I'll love generically the people who are on because they sounded cool. But and I also,
cool.
have, I have a lot of affection for Thomas and Eli too. And
Mhm,
so
mhm.
for me, I guess what I want to contribute to this is more my self-reflection on this. To me is taught me how to, I'm working on being a better ally. And part of that is checking my own privilege and recognizing it, and, really trying to empathize with where you're coming from in this instance. And I think this is generally, in the atheist, any movement. And I know, like, how much of this is really kind of bound up to like identity and whiteness. I don't want to speculate, but we all, if you're lucky enough to be in a position of privilege in the way the society was structured before you were even born, then maybe having some patience and empathy, it's not very much to ask. And then when you understand, you can start trying to speak up for justice, for everybody.
Well, here's the thing, Kristi, I thought you made some very good points. I think you were kind of leaning towards saying some very good things, even though you try to be as soft and gentle as possible. And I understand that, if someone is your friend or whatever. But you did say things that I actually would not even think to say, because I would think it's very harsh language, but I guess it's different when it's coming from an in-group person. Like you talked about deprogramming yourself from white supremacy, or can you imagine if I had said that in my episode? I would be accused of calling all these guys literal Nazis. Like, I've already been accused of calling them fash simps, which I have said nothing of the sort.
No, you did. You definitely said. You said that Elon Bosnick was exactly like Mussolini. I heard it. It's true.
No, that's not true.
It's canon now. It's been said.
Yeah,
that's true. Yes,
this is the danger of British humor.
As proof that I said it.
Yeah, and they'll quote Kevin. They'll have Kevin's voice doing it.
Exactly.
They wouldn't. Yeah, and they wouldn't. If a white man says it on the internet, it has to be true.
Exactly.
It couldn't be not true. They wouldn't let it on the internet. Yeah.
Kevin, do you know how many white men have claimed that they have helped me start my podcast?
More than exist. I don't know. It's probably quite a few, I imagine.
It's 2 now.
Oh, okay.
It can't be like hundreds. Come on. But Sam Harris was one of those white men. Oh, yes. He went on Eric Weinstein's show.
Oh, God.
And he said I was mentally ill for criticizing him, and a bad faith actor, and some reward he got for helping me launch my show, which was the most absurd lie, because I think that my show had been around for almost a year when he came on it.
Yeah, but Sam Harris, being God, created all of the universe, and therefore that contains your podcast.
That's right.
Checkmate, atheists.
A strange mirroring in this situation is that someone claimed that they also helped me start my podcast because they helped me edit something one time, and they offered to edit it. So,
God. Well, apparently Sam Harris called Sam Cedar a psycho, so you're in good company.
It was the same episode.
Oh, God almighty. Yeah. Was it called All of My Opponents Are Mentally Ill? Look
something
how logical
like that.
I am.
I mean, look at how rational I am.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
I am such a great steel manner of everyone. But yeah, Kristi, I thought you did make some great points, but I just was trying to picture if I had said anything close to that, the reaction I would have gotten would have just been wild. So it was kind of amazing that you could talk about deprogramming from white supremacy and all that, but then you, of course, had to say, I'm only talking about myself, but I think your point was made.
Yeah. Well, again, the thing is that I don't want someone to feel like, because there's a lot of sort of like, I recognize myself in that criticism. Mm-hmm. And if you
Kristi,
do...
you're being loud again.
Oh, God. I don't know how to get any farther away. I'm like, 4. Okay.
How's my volume?
You're fine. Sure.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
What was I saying?
It's the fucking whiteoids that are the problem.
Their voices are just naturally too loud because of their skull shapes.
True.
So
Just ask Sam Harris. Sorry Kristi.
I
Get the
literally
calipers.
I literally forgot what I was saying.
You were talking about recognizing yourself in a
Yes,
criticism.
yeah, and so it's easier for me to criticize myself and be honest about it and say that, because if people then recognize something in themselves, they don't feel attacked.
No, that's a good
exactly
way to do it.
Because if it doesn't apply to you, fine, but then you'll just listen to me. But if it does, then I'm not judging you. Yeah, so that is the thing. Is I guess I kind of learned that from comedians, who, like, if they make themselves the butt of the joke, they can take it. And yeah, so, but thank you. That's a very, I hadn't really thought about it like that.
So yeah, and then you also talked about how having the privilege to be listened to, opens doors, and how to maybe use that privilege to have more important conversations than whether merge versus pipeline versus, right versus far right is actually a good conversation to have with that kind of privilege, which is something I basically also said, but I was called an abuser for that. But I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, and again, I got those things from listening to you. So
I'm glad then we could somehow get the
symbiotically. Yeah, yes.
Right, do you two want to get a fucking room? What's happening now?
Darn pandemic.
But yeah, it's just and also when someone is willing to admit if someone else is going to be extremely gentle and careful with their ego, fine, but maybe also understand that someone who is part of a minority group who has had this conversation on a loop for maybe 6 years with different parts of the political spectrum, and then when you see someone you consider an ally to it, you just do not have the patience to be that gentle and soft. But it wasn't like I was like, well, fuck you, you're a Nazi now, or anything like that in any of my episodes. But yeah, the tone policing has definitely been there, that I have not been super, super patient and soft and gentle with my criticisms. But I hope that you can understand why I might have less patience for people wanting to rehash this stuff over and over again. Just like the people, there are some people who try to argue with me for Sam Harris's left cred, that he's just a misguided progressive. If that is what you think of Sam Harris, I'm sorry, but that is some level of discrediting in my mind, because I'm like, what is wrong with you?
That's fucking absurd. That's a ridiculous claim on any basis, really. Like you said, if you ask him, are you for trans rights or something, he'll say yes, but then go on a transphobic tirade about some other minor thing. He's for, he said about preemptive nuclear strikes and stuff. He's
fucking great replacement
great
stuff.
Replacement theory. He's had on people like Charles Murray and Douglas Murray. # not all Murrays. But no offense to anyone, Mr., Mrs. and non-binary Murrays out there. But and he's talked to people like Stefan Molyneux and all kinds of. I mean, honestly.
No, I don't think he has talked to
Stefan Molyneux. No, I'm thinking of Dave Rubin there. Sorry.
But he has defended Stefan Molyneux in the sense that he censored criticism of Stefan Molyneux from his podcast.
He's been really, really fucking awful. I don't know if that's what you consider to be progressive, then I don't want to be progressive. Well, that's not what I'm about at all.
Right. So Kevin, when you say that, the same people might see you as reasonable, even though you said it in much more harsh words than I did. But when I say that, again, I am like this completely unreasonable person who is not willing to reach out to the poor people duped by the IDW and we can get them back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point, and it's a point I kind of wish I'd brought up with Thomas, but it's you get lost in the wash, I suppose.
Of course, of
Um,
course.
But with him saying, and other people, it's not just him. We need to reach out to like the kind of the Sam Harris type people, the kind of supporters that can be brought across. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not here to like fucking babysit people. I'm not here to be like. I mean, ideally, you want to be able to try and convince people and bring them across with reason and logic and facts and all of that. But ultimately, I'm not here to like babysit other people's fucking weird bigotries. If you're
Yes.
drawn towards Sam Harris, that's on you. You're a grown adult. I can't
That's right.
I can't make you see sense necessarily. Hopefully, I can try and plant some seeds and some ideas, but like you have to. If you are so reasonable and logical and rational, then you should be able to reason and logic your way out of thinking that skull shapes are a thing that means anything.
Like, I don't even necessarily disagree entirely. Like, I think that in the toolbox of combating this awful nonsense, there should be a variety of tools. And if someone has the patience and the privilege to not feel personally threatened and can work on some of these phrenology fans very slowly and chip away at them patiently, then have at it. That's fine. But do not expect that of everyone else. That cannot be something that you put upon everyone else. Like, okay, what is this Salon article doing? You know, it's not even, it's putting off so many people with this picture of Sam Harris and the words far right on the front. Can you even like imagine the frustration Sam Harris might have felt to see that? Like,
Well,
what is that?
Yeah, I'll be honest. If it annoyed Sam Harris, it was worth it.
But I do agree with your point that like someone in a position of privilege, because again, like there are some anti-feminist people, men, usually cis men, who won't listen to women of any,
yeah.
you know, any women, all women on any issue. And in those cases, you do need your allies when to speak, because they only tune into
Absolutely.
that, you know. And so, but as I also pointed out, I think when you leave that door open, then you also, I think, you do leave yourself open for some criticisms, because
Yes.
it can look like, you know, I mean, I think there's a fine, it's got, you know, you can, and again, I'm not talking about anyone in particular. I'm just talking about, you know, atheists who want to do this kind of work. You have to be an ally, not be like performatively an ally. And again, I'm not talking about anyone in particular. I'm just giving general advice, right?
It's
in
just
that
amazing to me that you have to have all these caveats so as not to hurt anyone's possible feelings.
Yes, because the hurt feelings are going to get in the way of the message, you know. For like, and so this is it's, but
Kristi, you
it's
are so
continually.
You're such a ballet dancer here on the eggshells. You're doing superb work.
For sure. I got that sense in your last stream. There was some beautiful ballet happening.
Walking a tightrope. No, it's just like I said, I care about everybody involved, and so I want to hear what I am saying from my heart. And I feel like I'm trying to find my way through this, because I think that the core problem is going to keep coming up.
It is.
Right? Unless we get some honesty about like listening and hearing, and other people, again, feeling heard and feeling like the conversations are going to, it's not just being heard, but that things will change.
Yeah.
Well, I think one good thing that did come out of our conversation with Thomas is that he, I think, now accepts that Sam Harris is far right in a way that he maybe didn't necessarily say so clearly in his podcast. If that's
didn't say at all.
Well, yes,
he said the
yeah.
opposite.
No. You like this conversation and the subsequent. Yeah, he's convinced now. He's completely
no. So
on,
here's the
yeah.
thing: the claim that the article was making wasn't that Sam Harris and Dawkins are far right. The claim that I was making in my podcast was not that Sam Harris and Dawkins are far right themselves. So that even goes further. And I mean, effectively, they spread far right bullshit. So, you know, in practical senses, definitely. But I feel like they still maintain this facade of, oh, I'm a liberal, whatever, you know. And
well, this is the thing. That's why the word, I think, merged and its many faceted definitions is important in a sense, because, like you say, whether this, I mean, I think Sam Harris is far right, but either way, even if you don't think he is, the fact that he's obviously been spreading far right shit means that there is a merging philosophically and intellectually with the far right, and that a lot of his essentially cultists, so many of them are frankly cultists.
Oh yes, and they're far right.
Anyone who's ever spoken out against him, you get the worst people in the world jump into your mentions. It's awful. They will have been exposed to and absorbed a lot of far right material. So it's not a matter of all of the people either pictured or named in the article having become far right themselves. It's that a segment of that of new atheism, be it the thought leaders or the followers thereof, have either become far right themselves or have adopted a number of far right positions that they might not otherwise have done because of spreading it from people like Sam Harris or, like you say, Dawkins. Dawkins is, I mean, in terms of his core values, I think he's a reasonably progressive person on some levels, but he's spread enough rightist propaganda.
Islamophobia.
It effectively negates a lot of that, you know, and has led a lot of people down some really nasty pipelines.
Well,
I mean, I think the story of the sorry, just to, him spreading the bullshit about do you remember the Muslim kid with the clock that was thought to be like a bomb thing or whatever, and he was arrested? Him pushing that bullshit, I think that and stuff like the 9/11 mosque and all, going way years and years back, has definitely paved the way for the rise of a lot of this kind of new right or alt-right or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
And Dawkins, if I could just say, I'll finish that up, that whatever he says that might sound progressive, the harm he's done is just, like you said, not even negates, I mean, it negates it definitely, but it just shows, like, you don't look at what people say, you look at what they do.
Yeah.
You can see what Dawkins did.
Yeah. And what really is he progressive on? Like, yeah, he may not vote for the right-wing party, or he
might be against creationism.
He may be against creationism, but we know that's not the thing that we're judging them on. But
well, this is the core problem that I have with the idea of atheism as a movement, is that I don't particularly care whether you believe in a god or not. Like, I obviously am going to theologically agree with a lot of people who are atheists, of course. But that's not really the point, because it's not what you don't believe that matters, it's what you do believe. So if you're Christopher Cantwell, who, again, theologically I'm sure I agree a lot with, but everything else I think he's a fetid dog turd of a man, I have no interest in allying myself with that person in any kind of movement.
Right.
You know?
And I'm sure that the MergeGate people have no interest either.
I love it.
So this is the thing, right? The accusation coming from there is that I am saying that they are effectively, you know, Sam Harris fans or fash simps, or, you know, on the side of the far right. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this stuff can infect the progressive left too if you start doing this kind of shit. Like, what effect does it have when you're like nitpicking an article and you're like, oh, Dawkins, you know, okay, he's xenophobic and he's racist, but don't you think there are racists on the left? Oh, Steven Pinker, well, he's a successful academic, how could he even be far right? Oh, Sam Harris, well, Sam Harris votes Democrat. What is the effect of that, of doing that? And then to say, no, I agreed with the whole article, I just didn't like the one clickbaity title. That's not an accurate representation of what many minority people are hearing here.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the most disingenuous aspects was the idea, and again, this might seem a little bit nitpicky in reverse, I suppose, but the conflation of the word new. So the idea that this article, people would see it and go, oh, atheists who are new is what this is referring to. When the banner picture is of three very well known established atheists, like that's not okay. I mean, frankly, that goes beyond disingenuous to frankly dishonest.
Yeah, I mean, I have had my mind blown just by seeing these types of defenses because I cannot believe it. What is happening? Am I in some parallel universe where these people are not who I thought they were?
Well,
What is happening? Explain to me.
well, I was about to ask you actually on that basis. Do you think because there's a financial vested interest in people for whom atheism is a part of their brand, that might be something that it's kind of like a, not necessarily even like a grifty thing, I'm not accusing them of that, but there's like a financial vested interest in them protecting a kind of brand atheism that would lead them down that sort of intellectual path?
I think blended with the tribalism as well that results in the blindness, it could definitely be an aspect.
I think there's a problem in that there's a gap. We like atheism plus. Now, in some ways, like this controversy has like shone a light on things, right? And like your perspective, coming to the fore, and me hearing that, and I hope, and I see a lot of people who support you as well. Fuck, where was I going with this?
Atheism plus?
Yes. There isn't an alternative, like there's new atheism and that's it. And I think I personally think it's more of an identity thing for people who.
Yeah, that's what I meant by tribalism.
Yeah, the tribalism. I know some people do earn their living off of an atheist community, right? And so, is that financial? I don't know. I think it's more of, at least it sounds to me, more people feel personally attacked. A little bit
I think it's a bit of both, though, because if you have progressive politics, how do you not see this? And how do you... I feel like it is in a way protecting your brand and your livelihood too, because, well, for some people, when you have atheist in your brand name, you cannot let that unravel. Otherwise, what's going to happen? I mean, you can. A lot of us have, and it's hard, but it can be done.
Well, I was about to say, one of the touching aspects of the discussions you were having with Kristi and Vadim and the others on your panel was the fact that you'd all taken a significant hit to the growth of your channel and the growth of your sort of platforms on the basis of standing up for what was right and what you believed. And I think that's how do you feel that's been a significant detriment to you? Have you been able to get past that?
No, Kevin, financially it has been a significant, like, when I was known as the atheist ex-Muslim who was critical of Islamic conservatism, even though I didn't buy into a lot of their full-on bigotry. I perhaps did buy into some of the centristy yuckiness, but then the way things were going, like, I used to get retweeted by Dawkins, Sam Harris was on my show. Bill Maher invited me onto his show. That never ended up happening, but there was a lot that could have gone on from
you could have explained to him the germ theory of disease. That would have been fun.
At least, yeah, I would. Yeah,
maybe vaccines aren't giving us everyone cancer, Bill. Who knows?
But boy, am I glad I didn't go on Bill Maher, because we were actually talking about, because I remain anonymous online, and I've had so many death and rape threats from different areas, first criticizing the Islamists and then criticizing the far right. Like, people have said that they, want to kill me and my Muslim family and shit like that. So I'm very glad to continue to remain anonymous. So that's actually why it didn't work out at the time, is that they were trying to figure out how to do it, like with a silhouette or, behind do the interview with as that way. But my God, if I had gone on and then he had gone on to praise Milo Yiannopoulos and George, I would have just felt so awful.
Yeah, because that's how you build a united atheist movement, is by supporting and propping up theocratic fascists.
That's right.
Also,
that's right.
A man who literally says that Catholicism got nothing wrong.
Yeah, yeah. But yes, you definitely lucked out there with it falling
Yeah, so
through.
when people say that, I am speaking up on things like this because I'm clout chasing or, trying to get attention, it's so exhausting because I have given up so much to just be able to talk about this stuff. So many financial opportunities, so many big platforms, and I could have courted all of that and tripled my Patreon and my Twitter account so quickly. But I have actively told anti-Muslims to get away from me. I'm not interested. I've actively blocked people from my Patreon who would when I would talk more about Islam, I would get patrons that are pledging $100, $200 a month.
Whoa.
And when sometimes they would message me things like, oh, you buy into this stupid anti-Muslim bigotry stuff, but here's a big pledge hoping that you'll see past that. And I'd be like, excuse me, I don't care for your money. You can fuck right off of my Patreon if you think you're going to pay me to pretend anti-Muslim bigotry isn't real. And now, finally, I have gotten to a place where my Patreon is no longer just stagnant or just replacing the people who dislike me for criticizing atheism and leaving now. But the pledges are much smaller, like $1 or $2. It has been such a stark contrast in what people who hope to have their bigotries justified by a minority person are willing to pay for that versus people who just expect you to do the right thing, which is understandable. So it just makes me really annoyed when people think that I am doing this for attention, because the opposite, really.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea of someone just throwing money at you, trying to buy off your opinion is, and it shows the intoxication that goes along with that money throwing hate crowd. People get hooked, Sam Harris and whatever else, he went from he moved his whole body of fan base right over to religious people now start to follow.
No, I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I know that was said on your last stream. Again, as I said, this is like a case study in white guy revisionism, white guy alternate reality. Okay. I don't think that's accurate at all. Just because he has allied with people like Ben Shapiro and stuff like that occasionally, it doesn't mean that his whole you're free to disagree with me. If you disagree, please let me know.
I think let's say he expanded his fan base because he's talking about certain topics and started talking about other topics.
Right, but the large chunk of that is still rational atheist bros, Sure, there are others right now, but there's how could you? On what basis are these people saying that he's shifted his fan base from atheism?
Fair enough.
Also, it was said on Eli's podcast that Sam Harris was rejected by atheists. It's just an alternate reality. It's not true at all. In fact, that is how the merge happened. That is they were happy to ally with anyone that was anti-woke.
Yeah. Well, talking about cringy atheists, I was reminded, because Ricky Gervais was trending today, of the image if you on screen there of I'd forgot he did this photo. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you ever do this?
What kind of adult would agree to do this?
There's not enough bleach in the world to ever erase this image from my eyes.
So thanks for putting it back up, Kevin.
Well,
do you think he's embarrassed by that now?
No, he's a full-on cringe lord, isn't he? He's a boomer cringe lord. He thinks this is amazing. What a satirical thing.
He thinks everything he's ever done is amazing.
Yeah.
I have never seen someone with that many million followers retweet compliments to him. Like, I understand when like smaller accounts do it because hey, you need to promote yourself or whatever. But like, if you have like, I don't know how many millions he has, 4 or 5 million.
Yeah. Well,
why are you retweeting praise for yourself?
Well, now that Trump's not on the site, is he like the cringiest, self-aggrandizing narcissist on the platform now? I don't know.
I don't know,
Possible.
Kevin. The competition is tough, really.
Yeah, no, there are some sad acts around, definitely.
Also, another thing I wanted to correct, I think, Kevin, last stream, you said that a lot of these atheist guys, they kind of shift rightwards because when they're outed as sex pests or whatever, progressives / atheists don't tend to like it, and it's not such a bad thing on the right, so then they just move to the right, which, I mean, to some extent that's true, but they're also like right-wing atheists who totally embrace them. It's not that the atheists as a whole reject them. So Lawrence Krauss, after he was written about multiple times being a sexual predator, he's been welcomed with open arms by many atheist podcasts. One of them even related to Atheist Ireland, or one of the people who used to work for Atheist Ireland runs that podcast. So and then the large atheist accounts like Atheist Republic, like standing up for Lawrence Krauss, for David Silverman.
Atheist Republic sucks.
That wasn't even a point about atheists as such, because like you say, there are right-wing and left-wing atheists. It's not politically, again, it's not what you don't believe, it's what you do believe, So
but that was the point Thomas was making, so I just
maybe it was slightly crossed wires on that front. My point was more just about the right wing. Not to say there aren't leftist people who will defend sexual abuse or whatever, but generally speaking, the right don't care about it at all. You can absolutely be a sexual. In fact, in some cases, like Donald Trump, it's seen as like a virtue in some respect, because you're like a sexually dominant alpha male. It's disgusting. And so, when outed as a sexual predator, moving over to the right is like a seamless thing. And in the same way that the Christians love to promote like an ex-atheist, the Conservatives love like an ex-liberal, a kind of Dave Rubin type, let's say.
And just like atheists like to promote ex-Muslims.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, it's like it's all PR culture war bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, so I just wanted to make very clear that there are plenty of atheists that embrace these guys. Silverman was rehired by an atheist organization after he was let go from an atheist organization, because someone, I forget which one of the two guys it was, made that point in their podcast that Silverman was rejected from all of atheism as well because he was kicked out. But no, he was rehired by another atheist organization.
Then he got himself fired again pretty quickly after, didn't he?
I don't know what happened there. I don't think it was that he was fired.
He's a HR disaster waiting to happen.
He really is, But
the man is a walking sexual assault lawsuit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So bad in so many ways. And then another thing I just wanted to point out is that when Thomas says things like, he wants to treat TERFs as, reachable with some problematic views, for example. This is like doing the same thing with the new atheist thing, right? I don't know why there's this defensiveness around calling people far right when they accurately can be. Not saying that every single TERFy person is far right, but it's very ahistorical, it's decontextualized, and it's not really listening to what a lot of trans people have been talking about, how there is a literal fasci overlap with people like the Proud Boys and
I was about to say, the
far-right disinformation campaigns and go on.
So the thing in LA, the obviously faked nonsense of the trans person in the spa bathroom or changing room, that was literally the TERFs were outside, in alliance with the Proud Boys, an openly fascist group, who then ended up stabbing somebody. So, that's a thing that happens.
So when you have someone like that saying, let's not lump all of these people as far right, it comes off as minimizing a thing that is actually happening and not listening to minorities on the thing that is actually happening. Like, I have to say, throughout this whole thing in the past few weeks, some of the people who have really understood the urgency of what I'm saying and have reached out to me have been trans people, because I feel like they have felt what it's like to be a target of new atheists to a similar level that someone of a Muslim background might have felt it. You know, I don't want to compare the two struggles at all, but those targets have been very clear, you know, on the right.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like you said, the struggles might be slightly different. There's obviously individual aspects to it all, but I think, like you say, the overlapping magisteria or whatever, the right have targeted those specific groups because they feel like they can get away with it. So standing together is an important thing going forward.
Yeah, and if I could maybe just interject here that, again, coming back to my experience with whiteness, because I do see some parallels here, like signing up, you know, making a deliberate effort to listen to people of color, getting a lot of tweets that complain about white people as a generic group, right? Kevin, you're doing it again.
What are you doing in there?
I'm partying.
Clearly. But, you know, the thing is that I read those comments and I take them in, you know, like, here's a criticism, and I move on. Because I don't have to stand up and defend shitty white people. I don't. Yeah. Why would I? Right.
I don't understand why.
Right.
You would,
and so you know, like, just extending that label, you know, inappropriate labels farther and farther out, you know, is kind of like. So I think there's a parallels between it gets back to tribalism or identity, and when your group is criticized, you might feel psychological pain at that, but why if you're not the person being criticized?
Yeah,
you can let that go. You don't have to defend shitty people. It's okay. Like, and it is
defending, as much as someone can say, oh, you know, I've criticized them on other episodes, but when you are nitpicking on little things like, are they really a new atheist? Are they really far right? Are they, you know, they vote Democrat? This is defending. This is, in effect, this is defending. You know, I just wanted to point that out, that defending can come in many forms. It doesn't have to be like, hey, I'm a Sam Harris fan, I love him so much, or, you know.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to play that clip about justifying getting defensive or playing devil's advocate, and I've been trying to be very mindful to not do any of those things in this conversation.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any more for any more?
I just wanted to say that, especially when you can admit things, when other people are saying, often white people.
That's okay. Like, Kevin is all for white genocide, so you're not going to outflank him on that.
I'm not suggesting anything.
No. Again, his white privilege. His white privilege.
No, look. All I'm saying is, should non-miscegenation be allowed?
Again, that's no. The internal. Okay, yeah, I'm just saying, like, she's like ran to the room now to get away from this conversation.
Anyway, so
noping out of this one.
Yeah. So you don't need to caveat talking about whiteness. It's fine. Go for it.
There is a difference in, as Kevin asked me about earlier, is even within this merge gate thingy, there is a difference between how people have received, say, Kristi, your criticism, sometimes even in more stronger terms than I would even say, you know, or Kevin, yours, or, you know, Steve Shives might say something on Twitter and he'll get a very polite response like, oh yeah, you know, I understand if we disagree, blah blah blah. Or you know, someone else pointed out that Thomas got something else wrong on Twitter, and with me, I'm not often even thought worthy of responding to, like, on my points. Like, my points are not engaged with by multiple bros. So that has been quite striking. Like, they will even admit things that I have said in my episode where they were wrong. Like, yeah, shouldn't have nitpicked about saying that it's dated to say that Sam Harris allied with Ben Shapiro because he did it as recently as 2019. Was wrong about James Lindsay being a blip in the atheism world that had maybe 30 something followers, because nope, it's been proven that he has
Look, we
like
won't have a
5,000.
we won't have a bad word said about the axe god, okay?
Been acknowledging that, yeah, Sam Harris is far right. It's just when you are acknowledging all these things when other people are saying them, then maybe also I would think that someone could reflect why a woman of a minority background might have also said them, and maybe stop freaking out about me saying it versus other people saying it. But
yeah,
it's just such a contrast.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Any
Yeah.
final thoughts? Any?
Otherwise, I think we're gonna need some cat memes. Just
Yeah, I was about to say.
Tickler.
Well, we can let Eiynah go, and then we can do bookmarks if you want, Krista.
or you're welcome to join us for at least a couple bookmarks if you
Yeah,
like.
I can stay for a bit.
Cool.
I'm
Cool.
just going to say thank you guys for having me on, and thank you, Kristi, for kind of, taking the time to explain how you understood and processed what I was saying. That meant a lot. And yeah, thanks for hearing my perspective, and it's been good, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a good conversation.
Sometimes you're the teacher and sometimes you're the student. This time I was the student.
Oh yeah, but to everyone in chat, I wasn't trying to get rid of Eiynah. It's just like she's got like a family and shit. She's got like a real life outside of this nonsense.
My child is screaming downstairs, but that's okay. I'll take some time up here in the quiet without a baby hanging off.
Well, exactly. Well, yeah, absolutely. But I just meant like you might have other things to like do.
More important than us, basically.
exactly, yeah.
But we're happy to stick around and hopefully okay. All right. Oh God, what is
Am
this?
I tiny sound? Sorry, I'll shout into the microphone. It shouldn't
Can you
make
just
any...
get closer?
No, I literally can't get any fucking closer. I'll turn
Oh,
everyone else
shit.
down. Bollocks to you.
God.
Right.
God, you need money to get a new microphone.
Shut up. Now, not a cat meme, but Trump wanted to literally like call off the 2020 election because of COVID. Did you see this?
Yeah, I mean,
That's not surprising.
Yeah.
I heard rumors about it, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking of calling it off. The guy was off his rocker.
Yeah.
That guy was just trying to cling to power.
Yeah. Oh,
we see
absolutely.
now
Yeah.
why.
Possibly could.
Oh, this trial in New York is going so well.
Yeah.
And Rudy just got disbarred in GC as well.
And
Well,
he's
he's
not paying him.
suspended.
Did you hear,
No.
Rudy? Look, none of the Trump clan are like taking his calls or anything. Rudy got fucked on, man. Oh, like how much
Gee,
of it?
no one saw that coming.
Oh, exactly. We literally called it. You're not getting paid a penny. Like he's giving you 50 grand a day or whatever because he's never going to pay that bill. So like you might as well say, I'll give you $1 trillion a day, Rudy. Yeah, honest. Anyway,
Pretty much.
like how much of a scumbag do you have to be that one of Rudy Giuliani's fiercest critics, I felt a little bit sorry for him. I thought this is just pathetic now.
What?
Oh, it's bad. Anyway,
What?
so
In particular, or just his life at the moment?
well, his life at the moment. He's been
Oh, yeah.
disbarred. He's not getting paid. He sold his soul for nothing.
I think Karma is currently working overtime.
Yeah, yeah.
He's getting
True.
overtime pay.
True. What's this? Tucker Carlson. Oh yeah, Tucker Carlson wants cameras in all the schools.
Oh, that's why Myth Informed tweet that out.
Yeah.
They tweeted out, put body cameras in schools.
Ugh,
Yeah.
These are the
Because that won't be like used by some sort of weird, creepy way. Also, yeah, I'm so small government. I want all of your
Yes.
children filmed for my
Exactly.
enjoyment. What? You
Well, they want to
fucking weirdo.
monitor them to make sure wrong-think isn't getting out.
Exactly.
Only white
also
sup-
love free speech so much that they want to ban it. all
True.
the
Yeah.
time.
Well, what I don't get is, and Myth Informed keep dodging me every time I bring this up, but it's like, white supremacist talking points have been inside U.S. textbooks for over a century. When have you ever tweeted about that? When have you ever tweeted about the effects that has on the culture? And how are we going to remedy it? Where are your solutions? Silence.
Yeah. Yeah. Caitlin Bennett is
Gun girl.
is fucking insane. The people who
Now
call
what?
Trump a Nazi are now implementing a, quote, door-to-door eugenics program.
Is this vaccination?
Less than 6 months after taking office. Let that sink in. I mean, not only the eugenics point, because I mean, obviously they think cancer is in the vaccines, like Bill Maher or whatever. Anyway, but door-to-door.
Yeah, that's not how a vaccination.
No, they've got like vaccination centres. They're not knocking. They're not going around. Can I interest you in a little bit of 5G, sir? No, that's not how it works.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the government has seconded all of the beer trucks, and they're using the refrigeration, and they're driving into neighborhoods, and they're just doing pop-up vaccinations out of the Budweiser truck.
True.
You don't know.
What they need.
It's not happening.
Well, the most American way of doing it is rather than having that T-shirt cannon vaccines. It's the only. It's the only way. You just have the needles in the T-shirt cannon. Just fire it into the crowd.
At what, NASCAR races?
NASCAR, basketball, NFL, yeah. Especially NASCAR. Let's be honest. NASCAR's where the non-vaccinated people are going to be. Let's be
white people.
Indeed.
Okay.
Oh God, yeah.
You haven't covered the biggest news that we haven't covered yet. I don't know if Eiynah's heard.
What's this?
Yeah, the
Nick
Trump social network. That's right.
Oh no! This is something else. Nick Fuentes was banned permanently from
Twitter.
Well, I didn't know that until early because I've been not on social media so much today.
Do you think it's gonna stick? Because I don't trust Twitter on this shit at all.
No, but I'll drink champagne until it gets rescinded.
I mean, it might be like 24 hours, and then he gets a personal apology.
It did say. Yes. It did say permanent, so we'll see.
That's good.
Yes, it wasn't just like a temp ban, like a 12-hour ban.
Didn't that same story also talk about how Jack? Did he have some ties with Jack? I think, or something.
I only saw like the trending and some reaction tweets, so I didn't deep dive into this yet.
Yeah,
because we had a show to do, and I had things to listen to.
Well, you make it sound like a chore, Kristi. I personally enjoyed this conversation enormously. Anyway, so that's Getter, which, by the way, I'll put up on screen. I started an account on Getter.
Did you?
Oh, amazing.
Now, on Parler, what was your account again?
Ghost of Chavez.
That was it.
So you'll never guess what I called myself this time.
Ghost of Chavez?
Ghost of Chavez, yeah.
You are nothing if not original.
I am entirely original. That's the wrong one. There we go. So I'm Ghost of Chavez there on Twitter. No, on Getter.
Oh, we can't see it. We'll have to look on the Twitter.
Hang on, no, I'll share with everyone. Sorry.
On the Twitch. How fucking old am I?
Very. Extremely, Kristi. Yeah.
On Twitch. No article needed. I'm not speaking German tonight.
That one, isn't it? Yeah. Share. Boom.
It's really strange in German when they introduce you. They'll be like, "Oh, and here is die Kristi." Like here is the die Kristi, not Kristi, but die Kristi. It's very.
Anyway, I'm Ghost of Chavez. Ghost_of_Chavez. I'm from Venezuela.
Bitches don't know about my stealing elections.
I set this up live on stream the other day.
Your connection is to Pornhub.
My connection is to Pornhub.com. Naturally. That's the only thing I've tweeted out so far.
How many? Oh, you've got no followers.
It is profound.
No followers. And I just started trolling people. I went to Greg Gutfeld. Fuck you.
You got a like for.
I did. I got a retweet on that. Who retweeted me? What? I don't know. Oh God. Someone retweeted me. Who was it? How do you know? How do you? I don't even know how to find out.
Oh man.
Anyway. I said of Joe Rogan, I will masturbate when you die of COVID, douchebag.
That's not Joe Rogan, is that?
It's not the real Joe Rogan, no.
Okay.
It's just a random Joe Rogan.
And then Dinesh D'Souza, I went with the classic, your dad.
Oh, great. You're pulling a Lindsay there.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The least original.
Yeah. Can I just say that this stuff is very mirroring to how Lindsay's interpretation of New Atheism was, that it was a woke takeover, and also the progressive side was, sorry to jump back into it, just going to say one sentence and shut up. Yeah, and then Eli's perception is that this atheism means social justice. It's a very mirroring thing from both sides, but neither of them reflect any minority experiences. It was certainly not a woke takeover, and it certainly doesn't mean social justice is what defines movement atheism. That's all.
Fair point.
Can we talk about the furs invading Getter? Did that happen? Oh, well, I need to look into that. Apparently, furries went
I
on
knew
Getter.
the Gropers. The Groypers?
Oh, yeah, well, they're Nazi fuckheads. They were going to go there anyway. Yeah. Anyway, the point is, I presume my account is involved in this as well. On the day it launched, hackers skimmed off like 30 million or something, or 30,000 email accounts or email addresses from Getter, because they're, again, the setup for these sites is so poor, the security on it.
I was going to say, wasn't this the exact same problem that, was it Parler had?
Parler, yeah. But it was even worse on Parler, because in order to get verified, you had to have like your fucking driver's license information, and that all got stolen and put up online, obviously.
Yeah, but still, you think the first thing they'd invest in is the best security possible?
No, because it's all a grift. It's all it's grift from top to bottom. I mean, this Trump fucking lawsuit obviously has no. All legal experts are like, no, it's not a First Amendment issue. This is a joke.
Which one is that?
The one where he's got a class action suit against Facebook and Twitter for banning him or something. And it's obviously because I didn't realise that I don't think Jack Dorsey or Mark Zuckerberg are government officials. So I don't think it's remotely relevant to the First Amendment. Crazy.
No, they don't care about freedom, they care about control.
But it's a grift, because even though he lives on a golf course that he owns, Donald Trump doesn't have enough money to fund his own legal case, so he needs to fundraise. Naturally. Look, it's a grift from top to bottom, all of it. Ridiculous. Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, this is... is Morrissey a well-known person in the North America? Is he a person
I
that
think
people are aware of?
People who have a certain taste in music, especially British music of that era, would know.
Okay, well, anyway, he's a
None
very
of the
racist
kids today
person.
Would know.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I mean, say Phil Collins is not relevant at all, but he's well-known. Like, people know who he is, right?
Yeah, but he's no Phil Collins in America.
No, I imagine probably not. No. He didn't
do any Disney-related products.
He didn't do any Live Aid, did he?
Didn't Anne-Marie Waters also thank Morrissey recently for his...
Yes, well, they are. They're very similar kind of hating, grifty, racist types, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Anne-Marie Waters is like next level. Like, she just, I don't know, she's just like a tiptoe away from being a white nationalist, is she not? Like,
yeah, basically.
Didn't UKIP also get rid of her because she was too racist for UKIP?
Yeah, she ran for the leadership of that party and was eventually banned because she was literally just like, Muslims, should they be allowed in Britain?
Well, you're too fucking racist for UKIP.
Just imagine how racist that is.
That's BNP. She's
this is from the party that was sort of hemming and hawing about getting rid of somebody who was doing Holocaust jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're too racist for those people, you're probably a bit far gone.
So
anyway,
I take it this is a parody?
This is a comedy parody bit, which might very well get me DMCA'd, but I don't care.
At last, all your favourite Morrissey classics, remixed and remastered to reflect his modern-day views, like this charming Clan.
I'm going out tonight, and I've got a big white hood to wear.
Wow.
This cross that I'm burning should get you returning, so there. Yeah. Take me out tonight, preferably somewhere that is only for whites. Oh, Hitler was left-wing. Don't you know anything? You must be a libtard, like Johnny Marr.
Yes, all those classic Morrissey hits, updated to align with all his latest opinions.
This is good.
Acid on the streets of London, acid on the streets of Birmingham. It's all a Muslim's fault.
Yes, it's the Smiths, reflected through the prism of Morrissey's current politics.
I was idolised as lead singer of the Smiths, but heaven knows I'm risible now. I was pointing out non-whites, getting acid fights, and heaven knows I'm risible now.
Featuring the majestic How Soon Is NWO?
It's in the sun, it's in the mail. Your whiteness is now criminally vulgar. I would say that I'm white, but they'd lock me up and hide the key. Allow me is preserved. Chinese are subhuman to me.
The very best of racist Morrissey. Order now and get a free copy of Nevermind the Sex Pistols. Here's Johnny Rotten talking bollocks.
The working class have spoken. I'm one of them, so fucking come on, Trump. Yeah.
Hats off to whoever put that together.
Yes. Well, there you go. They're called the Ian Duncan Smiths,
That's
which is
really
the name
good.
of the channel. Right. You know I'm a fan of the weird Trump thing, right?
Okay, yes, Kevin has this sort of like kink now where he wants to
Oh,
read
dear.
all of the bumper stickers when people put them on with like
Oh, they're
scotch tape.
amazing. It's like neuroses poured out for the world to see. It's incredible.
Well, you know, if you're ever getting married, Kevin, we'll send you some Trump bumper stickers or something to
Yeah.
as like wedding night.
Handwritten ones that say things like, Buck Fiden.
Yeah,
Those
Buck
kinds of things.
Fiden's a good one. That's a classic. Yeah, lovely work. Anyway,
So-
Hey, look,
this
people have some weird kinks out there.
true. Well, I'm not going to bother
Okay,
trying to
Kevin.
read all of this, but this was from an actual event that literally. Hang on, I think I bookmarked it. No, did I? Oh, I didn't, did I? Hang on.
Is that Trump in the center?
It is Trump in the centre, but this is literally. Hang on. There we go. It was from an event that Mike Flynn, Lindell, and what's his fucking name? Lynn Wood literally held an event, and this
In front of
board,
this-
this board was from it, right? And look,
So
it's got like
ridiculous.
all of it links back to Trump, and it's got like Bible verses here on the side. And there's like loads of names. There's Charlie Kirk, Sean Spicer, Lou Dobbs, Fox News,
What does that say? Brick something in the lower left-hand corner?
Brick, but Brent or something. What? I don't know.
That is the mama of them all. I
Yeah,
think
look at it.
this
It's
is-
just, it's a work of crazy art. Ben Garrison, naturally. Oh, I don't even know. There's some pictures as well of people.
You have
Lynn
to, like, bring that
Wood.
into. You have to bring that into paint.
Yeah,
the
this is Sean Hannity, naturally. There you go. Yeah, and then there's, like I say, Bible verses and shit. It's just, it's majestic. I'm transfixed. I can't not look at it. Every time I look at it, I notice something else crazy. Anyway, I thought I'd bring that
Just
to
that
you.
much stuff. I know how much you
Indeed.
love
Yeah, there
this.
they are. Look, fucking absolute lunatics. I don't even know where to begin. What's this? Oh yeah, we were talking about a weird racism in academia thing before on a previous show. Tulane University, quite a well-respected school. Their School of Medicine has been officially placed on probation for quote widespread racism. Not
Good.
their
I
entire
mean,
their entire
Yeah,
fucking
good that
thing.
it's coming out.
How the fuck is what? How racist are you being?
I don't know.
Not individual
Oh, dear.
people who work there. The fucking School of Medicine.
Do you want to drop the thread and see? If,
I
this is-
mean, I don't even know what publication that is, so I don't know how.
It's the I don't know. The
Tulane
Lens,
School of Medicine.
New Orleans. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's really a first step warning that they are in jeopardy of losing their accreditation if they don't correct it by the next review cycle.
This comes after the racist firing of Dr. Denar, the first and only black woman to hold the role of MedPeds program here.
Yeah.
Hers is one of several discrimination suits filed against the university in the past several years, all of which are still ongoing.
Fucking hell. Yeah, that's mad. Tulane physician who sued over alleged accusation loses residency. Fucking Christ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a bit mental.
Yes, I mean, we need these things. Like institutions have to start holding themselves accountable.
Indeed.
And obviously, you point back to BLM, and that you can draw a line between the kind of like demand for justice, that started in the streets and echoes here.
Indeed. Well, Brexit, it's going to be quiet on the Brexit front, but if you look for the little gems, there are some incredible ones. The sunny, was it the sunlit uplands of the fantastic verdant, green and pleasant land of post-Brexit Britain? Because isn't
the air freer now, Kevin?
It's so
Don't you
much
just
freer.
taste the freedom?
It is so much freer, by which I mean there are empty shelves at supermarkets. Fantastic. Because there are fewer European drivers, because we're not allowing them in and stuff, HGV, which is heavy goods vehicles, so like massive, like 16-wheel lorries that like deliver food and stuff, because there's what's called a temporary shortage, they're upping the hours that drivers can drive now.
Oh, that's not good. That's not safe.
Yeah. We've ramped up the number of driving tests available and others will consider measure. So basically, one of the advantages of Brexit is increased road deaths because of no safety measures for heavy goods vehicles drivers.
But I mean, the right wing, the right wing logic here is that you stop immigration and then you force people who are too lazy to get a job into employment. Except when that isn't actually the problem. Yeah. Then you just end up with a lack of labor. You end up with labor shortage.
They say they're coming here taking our jobs. No, when the immigrants left or were kicked out, basically, instead of British people doing backbreaking labour for no money, picking fruit and vegetables and stuff from the fields, they just rotted.
That was actually, Eiynah, a proposal somebody floated. Who was it? Said, why can't pensioners just come out and pick fruit for a few hours a day?
Yeah, madness. Absolute
you remember who that was,
I can't remember who that was, no. But it was. I remember it being somebody. It was said by an idiot.
Yes. So the front page headlines.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, Brexit is, in so many ways, the dumbest thing any country's ever done to itself. Like, people have done evil shit to other countries. Rarely has it been self-inflicted nonsense like this.
Basically, yeah, kick yourself in the nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and then go, my nuts feel fucking free. They've never been so free of not being bruised heavily. Yeah. Anyway,
here we go.
This one is amazing. I don't know where to begin. There's so much to unpack, right?
What?
Yeah.
Is this part of your kink stuff?
It is.
Yeah.
It's weird,
Yeah.
and I love it. Ancient Egyptians ate animal crap for medicine. Okay. Moving on. And now USA legalizes. I know. And now USA legalizes quote unquote anal sex. Whoa, God is judge.
What?
Okay, firstly, I'm not sure that ancient Egyptians did eat animal crap for medicine, but I don't see that it would matter anyway.
Citation needed.
Because, I mean, you can literally buy that coffee that's been eaten by monkeys and stuff.
They have a citation. No, they have a citation. Look
What?
at the far right side. It's in parentheses.
Oh, yeah.
Under animal.
Medical.
I thought it's a National Geographic.
Does it say National Geographic? Maybe it does, okay. But like I say,
they could write anything anywhere.
why exactly, yeah. And not just that, but you can buy like that coffee that comes, it's monkeys eat the coffee and they crap it out and people buy that.
no,
So like that's a modern thing that people do.
Isn't there Kahlua that's made from elephant dung?
Yeah, it's a thing that happens. Like, it's not nice, but it
Or
doesn't,
maybe it is a coffee beans, I'm thinking.
it's not a sign of like, I don't know, degeneracy
It's
or something.
fertilizer.
But anyway, that's even it. Let's just take that as true, because fuck it, who cares? And now USA legalized. Why is anal in quotation marks? It's either anal sex or it isn't.
What are they referring?
Are you claiming that they're pretending to have anal sex when they're not? Because I think that was always legal. Pretending to have anal sex. When was that illegal? Anyway, and then whoa. God is judge.
What are they referring to as in legalized? Is this some kind of what? What happened?
I don't really know.
They may
None
be
of it makes
referring
any
to the
sense.
SCOTUS decision. I mean, there was a decision that was done, Texas v. Johnson, I think, on the sodomy laws, where the
Of
Supreme
course
Court...
it was Johnson. Of
no,
course
Texas,
it was.
No. Texas v. Johnson was the first of burning the flag. But there was a case about sodomy. and the Supreme Court threw it out. And Scalia, like a decade before marriage equality, said, look, if you take away the grounds, if you don't call sodomy illegal, there's no grounds to stop gay marriage.
Yeah.
He was right.
Oh, God.
It was basically the tactic: make it a crime, and then you can make it. Then you can't get married.
Yeah,
That
and
was the
then,
plan.
as someone points out in the chat, my favourite bit that no one seems to notice, just the word donate.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of small print around it, which is
But no one's going to see
Maybe
that. It's
some.
just the word donate. To what? How much? What? What
But
is this?
also, how are these two things related at all?
Then
What-
I don't know.
oh yeah, the train jumped the conversation track on that. one.
Yeah. So first the ancient Egyptians ate animal shit, and now we've legalized gay marriage. If you can't look,
What?
if you
Well,
can't
just anal
connect,
sex.
if you can't connect the dots, you're on the
need
wrong
that
side of
Trump
history.
board
God will
to
judge you,
connect the
apparently.
dots.
Yeah.
Also,
well,
is God judging the ancient Egyptians for the animal shit thing?
So many questions, more questions than answers.
Far
really.
more questions than answers, but I admire this man's, and I'm going to assume it's a man. Let's be honest. I mean, no one's thinking this is probably a woman. No one was thinking
No.
that. Anyway,
No, that's
so
not
thi-
our stereotype.
So this dude is fucking crazy. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that.
All right. So I see something with. It looks like cheese.
It is
above
cheese. It's a visual representation of the U.S. cheese stockpile.
If we put all the cheese in America
Wow.
next to this U.S. Capitol.
Yeah, that's how big it is. It's 900,303 cubic yards of cheese.
That is not bad.
There's a lot of
That's-
cheese.
that's
Although
a
this is
lot of
America,
deep
so
fried mozzarella.
most of that is not going to be proper cheese anyway, because it's America. But you know,
Cheese-like
a
product.
cheese whiz is not cheese. It's a crime against humanity.
I think there's a rule: if you can squirt it out of a bottle, it's not
cheese. No. This was nice. This was an Australian trans Twitch streamer that I was introduced to. This might be the biggest girl dick energy I've ever seen. This was amazing.
Looks like we got ourselves a big man in the chat. I don't know who the fuck you are, but you must think I'm pretty fucking important to come and make a fucking halt to harass me.
Nice.
Tiny man coming in here thinking, oh, it's a transgender streamer, let's go cause some fucking trouble. Mate, you've got fucking nothing in this place. You have no power whatsoever. All you are showing is what a pathetic fucking creature you are. That your nights are spent wandering in to try to insult strangers and bring them down.
You get nothing.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wonka. Here's the thing. I have fought very fucking hard to be who I am. And I live in a society that daily encourages me to feel shame about who I am. And yet, in spite of that, I live proudly and publicly as a fucking awesome human being. Do you think you can ever put anything on me that hasn't already been put on me? That I haven't already fucking defeated? You're a fucking worm. You're a grub. You're pathetic. You think you found a weak target, but you found a fucking dynamite monster. I will fucking eat you, and I will shit you out.
That's the one.
I'm gonna
I will
clip this,
fucking
and I'm gonna
eat
put it with
you.
all the other clips, and I'm gonna make you fucking famous. And in years to come, when you've matured, you're gonna look back on this day, and you're gonna be fucking embarrassed about who you were. You're a fucking joke. Fuck off.
It's so good. Oh,
Yeah.
that was so
Yeah.
That's
satisfying.
Jordan Raskopoulos. I'll put their Twitter in the thing if anyone wants to go and check them out. Because
That's the
Awesome.
yeah. That's a 21st century of the Mark Twain. Don't start an argument with people who buy ink in barrels.
yes. But that was my bit. I will fucking eat you.
and shit you out. I think
Yeah,
is
exactly.
like-
Like that's, and you know what? I believe them. They would. They literally. I mean, don't fuck around there. You found a dynamite monster. It's a
Love
legendary.
it.
Anyway, this is just nice. A moment of. I mean, England doing really well and scoring and all the rest of it. But also Ian Wright, a guy who's spoken out against like racism and stuff and all the rest of it. And then what's the woman's name? Emma Hayes, who's another broadcaster, just hugging, and it's wholesome. I like this.
All the time, brilliant piece of play, but players off the bench will have a huge influence. We could say that for every big game. Obviously, Riley just showing a little bit of emotion.
A little bit of passion. Subs critical, you know, if you're Grealish, if you're Foden, you're Sancho, you could have a big...
See the changing face of modern Britain? I love it. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, because the players on the pitch all came together.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if the nation could too.
It would be. Well, and finally, some whiteoids scored for England. So
yeah, right at the end.
Good to chip in, lads. Thanks. Anyway. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Just stop.
Oh, she's.
But yeah, she says she doesn't want to take medical advice from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, believe me, they should be taking some health advice from Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I actually know what I'm talking about when it comes to helping people lose weight. Unlike the Biden administration and unlike Dr. Fauci, which is nothing but a big liar. But yeah.
What?
Yeah, Dr. Fauci, the doctor who was, I think, chosen by Donald Trump, or at least accepted by Donald Trump for ages and ages, but he's a total liar. So
he's only been doing this for 4 decades.
Yeah, Trump employed a liar?
Yeah.
Marjorie? Intriguing.
That woman.
This, again, the story I mentioned in Los Angeles, complete fake. TERFs made up the whole story.
Andy No has been spreading it far and wide. Disgusting human that he is.
Yeah,
another person from the new atheist scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
MythCon back in the day. Myth informed now.
Indeed. Anyway, Stephen Crowder. Oh God. Stephen Crowder has been in hospital. Unfortunately, he's still alive, but it says recovering. This is amazing. How is this website free? I don't know. Recovering, much appreciation, thoughts and prayers. Blah blah blah. Someone says, what happened? Here's to a fast recovery. Someone said, he drank too much dog cum again, right? Which is a meme, that's a thing, right? And someone said, no, he has a sunken chest. It has nothing to do with all the dog cum he drinks. Grow up.
Twitter
is, it can be, it's mostly evil and should be done away with, but it occasionally is very funny.
Oh,
I love this video.
This is amazing. You'll never need to see any other video ever again. Look how chill that dog is.
Yeah. He's watching the dogs.
Dog sits down again. Right.
Animals always steal the show. I honestly don't think I could dance for that long right now after being indoors from COVID.
Awesome! She's so cute. Yes.
I love that.
So good.
That is good. Cute cat. It's just a cute cat.
Yeah. That's just wholesome. Yep.
This is
oh my gosh,
first world superpower, the United States, and it's one of its major cities, New York. And yet, what's going on here? What?
Why would you get into that water?
Well, if she's got to go home, I don't know. Is the subway running?
It looks like it. Looks like a train moving there.
How can it be running when? Oh, God.
I don't know, but I mean, that is It doesn't matter how many injections you've had. If you get into that water, you are. That's a cry for help. That's what that is. Anyway, yeah, America's infrastructure. I've said it before. America has pissed away the greatest resource wealth known to human history on rich nonsense.
Tax cuts. Yep.
Tax cuts, massive military-industrial
Tax
complex. Yeah. Evil shit. Anyway. Oh, the tediousness of the culture war never ceases. England doing really well in the soccer. Anyway. Douglas Murray. We talked about him, didn't we? Anyway.
Hashtag not all Murrays.
Yeah. Hashtag not all Murrays. True.
Oh, I got in a Twitter slap fight with a bright prick.
Go on then.
Do you remember this? I sent you.
Well, you can wait until you wait your damn turn.
Yeah, I'll have to wait till my bookmarks.
Yeah.
But who was it again? I forget.
The guy who was
a writer
created
for...
Titania McGrath.
With Jonathan Pye, you said?
And was a co-creator of the Jonathan Pye. Yeah. He's an awful person.
Yeah, anyway, he is an awful person, and I smacked him down a little bit. Well, mostly I just ran circles around him because he couldn't figure out.
Yeah. Anyway, the joylessness of the right never ceases to amaze me. People just enjoying England doing well and stuff, but it has to be made into a culture war shitfest, right?
Yeah,
of course.
So he wrote an article, England's flag waving is the perfect antidote to the virus of wokedom.
It's just so classic, Douglas Murray.
All people are just enjoying the football. Shut up, Doug, you fucking idiot.
I mean, it's taken decades for English people who aren't vile racist to feel comfortable flying that flag because it's so associated with vile racists. For him to just play on that again is really
also disgusting. The right need to decide, is it good that England are doing well or not? Because taking the knee made them Marxist, apparently.
Looks like taking get woke, go to the finals.
Also, actually, hang on. So a diversion, but a thing that was I need to show everyone just because it was funny. Here we go. The Labour Party have done a silly one, a funny one, which I'll share with you just momentarily. Window, boom, share. Anyway, so the Labour Party have urged the MP who said he wasn't going to support England because they were taking a knee and that was Marxist and degenerate and
yeah.
The Labour Party have put together a what do you call it?
a
petition to urge him to continue boycotting England. Lee Anderson is the man's name. He's a member of Parliament who was born in 1967, the year after we won the World Cup. So they're saying that he personally has jinxed English football, and so they're saying that he needs to keep up his boycott to ensure that England win on Sunday.
Yeah, it says the form shared on social media. Can you scroll down a little bit because this is the true part.
Says, quote, sulky Tory MP Lee Anderson hasn't been cheering England heroes like the rest of us because he doesn't like their simple act of anti-racism. Reaching our first final since before he was born is such a great feeling, but not enough. We want to finish the job on Sunday, so we're asking Anderson, stay away, do your housework, watch Midsummer Murders, anything, and keep up your pathetic one-man boycott for one more game. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that is a good 2 fingers up.
Yeah, a nice bit of trolling. I liked it.
Oh, is it to me now?
No.
Oh, you're
I'm
just
not
in the.
That was an aside. Yeah. So anyway, Graham Linehan.
By the way, Eiynah, you are free to ditch out at any time. But love having you here.
Thank you so much. Because now I gotta go. It looks like.
See, I told you she'd have other stuff to do. She's got like a real life and things.
Yes, but thank you so much for coming up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on, and I would love to stay for all of these, but it is getting close to bedtime and dinner time, and that is.
We just wanted to have some fun.
Don't eat your
with
dinner
you
in bed. That's silly.
No. I was talking about my toddler, but even he doesn't eat in bed.
Okay.
Have a wonderful evening with your family.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, guys.
Bye.
I will see you out there in Twitterland.
We will.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.